right, thank you very much for your presentation of the bill, and we will now move on to Senator Hackworth. He will be the second one with presenting a bill here.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Good morning.
I want to thank y'all for serving on this committee. I know this is a sensitive subject and very emotional on both sides, and I want to respect that. I also want to thank our chief co-patron on this bill, Senator Newman, and for his help and also the presentation of his bill. Steve always does such a wonderful job. I envy him when he presents something. I'm like, I want to say what he says. But I guess that comes with experience, and I appreciate that. But I also will say that I will support any bill at any stage of life that reels back the current abortion laws that we have here currently in the Commonwealth. And Senate Bill 1284, which is the bill that you have in front of you, this bill differs somewhat from the bill that was just presented. And the reason is, Mr. Chair, this is what I believe. And what I've always believed, I remember when I was in high school, a group of us caught a bus, John, at the Walmart parking lot and rode all night to Washington, D.C. For the annual March to Life. And actually today I think marks the 50th anniversary of that. And it really changed my life on the perspective. But the last year when Roe versus Wade was overturned, I knew that this was the bill that I had to put in because it's what I really believe. I understand that in the passing of legislation that there is a duty and a commitment to support these children not only inside the womb but also outside the womb once they arrive. We do this by alternative options, by providing support for women facing unintended pregnancies, such as financial assistance, parenting classes, and access to adoption services, by having support groups and education, by building a culture of life, by promoting a culture that values and respects human life at all stages. This can be done through religious and moral education, public policies that protect human life, and by creating a society that values and supports families. Ultimately, this requires a combination of these approaches and a willingness to engage in honest and respectful dialogue about the complex issues surrounding abortion. And so that's why I'm here, Mr. Chairman, is to present my bill and stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves. The few key differences that I have in Senate Bill 1284 is it is a life at conception bill. It protects life at conception. It recognizes, as does the overwhelming majority of biologists in the world, that life does begin at fertilization. And also, with the latest reviews from the Pew Research from 2020, the statistics, 93% of abortions occur during the first trimester, which is, that is at or before 13 weeks of gestation. And in Virginia, 2020, there was approximately 18,000 abortions. And if Senate Bill 1284 were made law, it would see that every one of those 18,000 children had a chance to live. So lines 178 in the bill, lines 178 through 253 is struck. That deals with the wards of the states seeking abortions. This is struck because under this bill, abortion is eliminated. Lines 278 through 281 removes the allowance for abortion. Lines 288 through 291 defines what a medical emergency is. And lines 297 through 302 outlines the exceptions, which is rape, incest, and the life of the mother with a medical emergency. And it also clarifies, as does the senator before me's bill, that any abortion that is performed under the exceptions must be done by a licensed physician in a licensed hospital. Lines 303 to 304 has the born alive provision. Lines 305 has the penalty of a Class 4 felony, which is the same that's actually in the code section now for abortions that's performed illegally. Lines 306 to 314 provides an affirmative defense for accidental or unintentional injury or death by medical professions, so it covers those. Lines 315 through 319 clarifies that no criminal or civil offenses against women for abortions that has an abortion or chemical abortion. So it does not punish or make criminal the woman. We don't want to pit that, like the Secretary said, the mother against the child. Lines 320 through 325 allows contraceptives and chemical medication for the treatment of a miscarriage. And then finally, on lines 336 through 340, it strikes language about the human trafficking signs posted in abortion clinics because under this bill, there would be no abortion clinics, so that was not needed. So, Mr. Chairman, last year, the General Assembly, we did something that very rarely ever happens. Every senator and every delegate in the General Assembly voted unanimously to pass 5 pieces of legislation. And we called those the Beagle Bills. And I was on that subcommittee, and I remember Senator Bill Stanley leading the charge about the inhumane treatment of beagles and how that they were, we need to protect them. It was so passionate that I actually wanted to adopt one myself and carry it 6 hours to Southwest Virginia because it was such a wonderful story of how that we could save those animals. And so I would just say to this committee and to our colleagues that I hope we can be as passionate in saving the lives of the unborn children as we did those beagles last year. And that's my bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Senator Donovan.